This is Joe Biden, the President of the United States. On Sunday, May 19th, Biden was set to give a speech at Morehouse College, a private historically black men's liberal arts college in Atlanta, Georgia. And White House press secretary and self-proclaimed historic figure Karine Jean-Pierre was asked to give a preview.
Can you give us a sense of how the president will use his time at Morehouse on Sunday? Will there be any news in the speech? Will it be more of a lofty, go forth and prosper kind of speech?
He takes these commencement addresses incredibly seriously, but he sees this as an opportunity to lift up and to give important message to our future leaders. And so, look, he'll have, I think, some important message to share for these future leaders. He'll have themes in his remarks, in his commencement remarks that he'll share with them.
If you were as bad at your job as Karine Jean-Pierre is at hers, you'd be fired and never work in this town again.
He's been working on these remarks for the past couple days, I can assure you, with his senior advisors. He's taking this incredibly seriously, and he understands, as the president tends to do, meet the moment that we're in. I think it will be a moving commencement address. I think it will meet the moment.
So according to Karine, Biden's speech was going to lift up the graduates, give important message, and meet the moment. But if you follow me on X/Twitter, and why wouldn't you, you'll have seen my prediction that it was going to be an uninspiring, dark campaign speech. And of course I was right. First, Joe Biden started it off with this familiar refrain.
My junior year, spring break, I fell in love at first sight, literally, with a woman I adored. I was a newly elected senator hiring staff in Washington, D.C. when I got a call from the first responders, my fire department in my hometown, that forever altered my life. They put a young woman, first responder, on the line to say, there's an automobile accident. Tractor trailer hit your wife's car while she was Christmas shopping with the 3 children. And she, poor woman, she just blurted out, she said, your wife and daughter are killed. My 13-year-old daughter are dead. And your almost 3-year-old and 4-year-old sons are badly injured. I rushed from Washington to the bedside. I wanted to pray, but I was so angry. I was angry at God, I was angry at the world.
He'll have, I think, some important message to share. I think it will meet the moment.
I had the same pain 43 years later, when that 4-year-old boy who survived was a grown man and a father himself, lying in another hospital bed at Walter Reed Hospital, having contracted stage 4 glioblastoma because he was a year in Iraq as a major, won the Bronze Star, living next to a burn pit. My son knew the days were numbered. The last conversation was, Dad, I'm not afraid, but I'm worried. I'm worried you're going to give up when I go. You're going to give up.
So instead of giving a lofty, go forth and prosper speech, Joe Biden did the exact opposite. I mean, if you want to hear about Joe Biden's wife being killed in a car accident or how his son died of cancer, you just listen to every other Joe Biden speech.
I wrote a book called Promise Me, Dad, not for the public at large, although a lot of people would end up buying it. It's for my grandchildren or great-grandchildren to know who Beau Biden was.
And yet, Joe Biden hired author Mark Zonwitzer as a ghostwriter to help him write Promise Me, Dad. Because no one outside the Biden family was supposed to read it. Makes sense to me. What's your problem?
The pandemic robbed you of so much. Some of you lost loved ones, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, who aren't able to be here to celebrate with you today. You missed your high school graduation. You started college just as George Floyd was murdered, and there was a reckoning on race.
Wow, are you feeling uplifted yet?
It's natural to wonder. Democracy you hear about actually works for you. What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? Betrayal of broken promises still leave black communities behind. What is democracy? You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot. Most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure.
Translation, if you're black and live in America, you're a victim. Good luck, Morehouse graduates. They don't call him Dark Brandon for nothing. Joe Biden's message to graduates is in stark contrast to President Donald Trump's speech that he gave during a rally in the South Bronx.
It doesn't matter whether you're black or brown or white or whatever the hell color you are, it doesn't matter. We are all Americans and we're going to pull together as Americans.
That might be the best line of the 2024 campaign so far. Skin color does not make one great. Being an American does. Compare that to Joe Biden's demoralizing speech, where with just one line, called every Morehouse grad a victim and every single Republican a racist.
They don't see you in the future of America.
Well, so much for uniting the country, huh, Joe? So to further demonize Republicans, Biden repeated the long-debunked lie about election law in Georgia.
Today in Georgia, they won't allow water to be available to you while you wait in line to vote in an election. What in the hell is that all about? I'm serious. Think about it.
Well, unlike what Joe Biden would have you believe, Georgia's voting law wasn't designed to starve and dehydrate voters, but it does prevent a practice known as electioneering. Georgia law states, "No person shall solicit votes in any manner or by any means or method, nor shall any person distribute or display any campaign material, nor shall any person offer to give or participate in the giving of any money or gifts, including but not limited to food and drink to an elector." And food and drink is specifically mentioned because outside groups, campaign staff, and even politicians themselves have been caught red-handed giving out food and drink in an attempt to influence or intimidate voters waiting in line to vote. And that's bad, right? Of course, we all know at least one scenario where Joe Biden would say it's a problem. Hi there, would you like some water?
You look at, for example, how they've been for the last years attacking the freedom to vote and have access to the ballot. Places like Georgia, passing laws that make it a crime, make it against the law to give people food and water who are standing in line to vote.
Yeah. Essentials, necessary things necessary to live.
There is so much to unpack here, but first of all, there is no voter suppression by Republicans, and it is slander to say that Republicans don't want black people to vote. And to claim that voters will be prevented to vote unless you allow political groups or candidates to give them food and water is just mind-blowingly stupid.
But the hypocrisy, right? What happened to love thy neighbor?
Yeah.
Passing laws to make it more difficult for people to vote because they are afraid that when those folks vote in their numbers, things are going to change for the better.
But the law isn't about throwing a good Samaritan in jail for giving a bottle of water to someone in need. It's about keeping political groups from swaying or intimidating voters, which is a bad thing. But ultimately, Democrats are suggesting that these folks are so reliant on other people that they aren't capable of standing in a line without starving to death. And they sit there and call Trump and Republicans racist. Furthermore, Democrats could empower voters and simply remind them that they could just vote by mail and avoid the threat of dehydration altogether. But they can't and they won't because Democrats don't know the meaning of self-responsibility. So after Joe Biden's awful speech, he flew up to Michigan to deliver remarks to the Detroit chapter of the NAACP. And it did not go well.
And when I was vice president, things were kind of bad during the pandemic. And what happened was, Barack said to me, go to Detroit and help fix it.
So obviously, Joe Biden wasn't vice president during the pandemic. But it's okay, because Joe Biden's White House clarified in the official transcript that he didn't mean to say pandemic. What he meant to say was the recession. And a handful of media outlets pointed out that during his speech, he made so many mistakes and flubs that White House staff had to correct the official transcript a total of 9 times.
9 times.
9 times.
Folks, I'm humbled to receive this organization which defines the character and consequence of what we do. I just came from Atlanta, where I delivered a commencement at Morehouse College. It truly inspires us. Our protected and expanded the Affordable Care Act, saving millions of families $800,000 in premium, $8,000 a year in premium. We're cracking down on corporate landlords who keep rents down. He not only denies reproductive freedom, but worsens the mortality rate for black moms who are nearly 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy complications than a white woman. His spirit endures. The NAACP spirit endures. Donald Trump has said if he loses again in November, there will be, quote, bloodshed. He's clearly unhinged. Just listen to him. He calls the erectionists who stormed Capitol Hill patriots.
He said erectionists. But seriously, if Joe Biden messed up a word here or there or every once in a while, it would be one thing. But Joe Biden screws up every speech he gives. Literally every single one. And it's a problem.
A major milestone, providing $5.7 million in benefits to 890,000 veterans and their families.
So let's do some math. $5.7 million in benefits divided by 890,000 veterans and family members, and that comes to an average of $6.40. 81 million votes, guys.
Let me close with this. After I signed the Pacannualehpactcadillacact into law, I handed the pen that I signed it with, as a tradition of the person most responsible for the legislation, to a widow and a daughter of the late Sergeant First Class Heath Robertson.
And Joe Biden getting the serviceman's name wrong is particularly egregious, considering that the bill he's talking about is named after Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson. Joe Biden can't even read from a teleprompter, which is arguably the easiest part of his job. Yet we're expected to believe that he's capable of running the country for another 4 years? Yeah, sure.
Putin was certain that NATO would fracture. I met with him right after being elected president, right after I was sworn in. And we talked about this very issue. In the fall, he decided to, look, I shouldn't get into this probably. It gets me a little excited.
Anyway, oh God, that's it for now. Follow me on X at Don't Walk Run, and while you're at it, please subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time, if there is next time.